So last night, I was putting my son to bed, and we were going through bedtime stories. And because I don't read a lot, and probably a little bit lazy, we were doing bedtime stories through TikTok. And we came across this bedtime story, the kid's story, about the Earth and the Moon. And in this story, the moon was named Luna. And as we went through it, it started out with Luna and the Earth and how close of friends they were and how strong of a connection they had. But then Luna started to compare herself to the Earth. You know, the Earth was beautiful and vibrant, charismatic, and everyone loved the Earth. And Luna started to look at herself and realize that in her eyes, she was none of those things. And that comparison that she made between herself and the Earth took away all of her joy. So Luna decides to leave one day, and the Earth started to go into absolute turmoil. All the things that would actually happen if our Earth didn't have a moon started happening, and the Earth was distraught. And so Luna, being alone, in complete darkness because she didn't have the sun beaming on her to help brighten her up, to send light to the Earth, started to go into a pretty strong depression. And the sun came and brought back Luna to show Luna just how valuable she was to the Earth and how much worth she brought to the Earth. And of course, together, things started to go back to normal, and Luna realized that although the things that she saw from the Earth that she would compare herself to may not be the things that she sees in herself, the fact is that we all have value no matter what our perception is. And I thought to myself in the 5-minute story, like, wow, like this is a little kid's book that's kind of hitting on some deep thoughts. And I realized, like, today recording, I knew exactly what I wanted to share. And it's the fact that it doesn't matter what stage of Luna you are. If you are the one that's happy, charismatic, and enjoying life, or if you're the one that's depressed and comparing yourself to others, understand that your value is significantly more than you perceive. Luna didn't see things until it was brought to her attention to just how valuable and how much worth she had. So, with that in mind, just let me tell you, you are valuable. You are worthy. You have so much significant value to bring to people, to this world. You just need to see it. Progress over complacency. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Batman Drew podcast. I am your host, Andrew Mills, also known as the Batman Drew. So we are recording today's podcast. I'm also trying to not only record the podcast, but go live on TikTok for my first time. And I gotta tell you, I'm not the most savvy when it comes to social media. I don't even know if anybody's going to watch the live, so we'll check it out. We'll see. But I will tell you, one thing really bothered me. Whenever you go live, I didn't know this is my first time going live. Whenever you go live, it wants you to verify your age. Totally understand that. I'm cool with it. I get it. So it has you put in your birthday. And then it's like, wait, but we've got to verify truly how old you are. And there are a couple ways you can do it. You can put in a credit card, which seems a little odd. You can take a selfie with your ID. I get it. Or facial recognition. And with facial recognition, it basically scans your face and say, yeah, you're fucking 38 years old. You look old as hell, and we have verified that you can go live. So thank you to TikTok for the boost in my morale as I continue to get older. So what's up, guys? We're going to quit ranting and raving about that. We're going to dive right on into our show today. I've missed you. I haven't recorded an episode of my podcast in a while. And part of that is because life is a struggle and it sucks sometimes, and I'm doing everything I can to be able to, be the best I can be. But also because I was really wanting to kind of vamp and kind of give this podcast some direction. I did a lot of research and a lot of thought on, like, why do I want to do this podcast? And in large part, I realized that I wanted, again, to be, you've heard me say this before, a little bit of a documentation or journey for myself. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized, like, I'd really love to be able to continue this podcast and have my son be able to watch episodes when he gets older. I lost my dad at a young age, and not that I'm fearful that I'm going to have that same kind of experience with my son. But at the end of the day, you just don't know what life throws at you. So as I continue to figure out why I want to do this podcast, I realized that was a big part of it. I also realized that I wanted to be able to showcase other artists, other entrepreneurs, other, just cool individuals, right? Like, I mean, a lot of interviews that I see on podcasts that I listen to, they're always interviewing celebrities or, people who've made it. And I think that the struggle to get there is sometimes the most important thing. And so I'm going to start interviewing people who, quite frankly, are still trying to get their shit together like me. So as we continue to kind of figure out what this podcast is going to be about, I definitely know that it's going to have to do with the three things. And if you've listened to me before, you know these three things. It's about my life, my art, and my professional career. So I'm just going to dive right on into some of those updates. In regards to, like, my life in general, last week was my birthday. I turned 38 years old, and I've always kind of struggled with my birthday. And if you know me, you know that my mom and my brother, who are both gone, we shared birthdays very close to each other. So it was super difficult for the last few years, especially since my mom's been gone, to celebrate my birthday. And honestly, I was very fortunate. My wife put together a birthday party despite my my willingness, I guess, to go along with it. And I had a lot of friends and family that surrounded me to be able to celebrate my birthday, and super grateful. I really am super grateful and thankful for the people that I have in my life. But at 38 years old, what was I going to do for my birthday? I wanted to play Monopoly. I absolutely love the game of Monopoly, and one of our topics on today's podcast is reviewing a top 10 list of top 10 board games of all time. And some of the names on that list was pretty interesting. But for me, Monopoly, I love Monopoly. I ended up getting, this was like 4 or 5 years ago, an Avengers Infinity War Monopoly set. And so we broke that open. I hadn't even opened it before yet. And broke that open and went ahead and played that for my birthday. So it was a lot of fun. Enjoyed it. I was very thankful again for the friends and family that were around me. Past that, when it comes to just some of the things, some of my broad interests, definitely want to be able to talk about some of the amazing shows that are out there. I'm obviously a superhero nerd. I have the Infinity Stones tattooed on my hand here. In fact, pretty much all my tattoos are of some sort of fandom. And so when it comes to, media like Daredevil, for example, been watching that. Reacher, just finished the finale of Reacher, which was great. You also have, I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, but there's a show on Max called The Pit, which is like a medical drama, and it's kind of cool because it every episode takes place an hour of like a real life event, so it's pretty interesting and cool. Some really good content out there, but the one that I'm probably the most interested to check out that I haven't checked out yet is The Studio on Apple TV. I don't know if any of you guys have come across that yet. I know it just debuted, but it looks like a pretty good show. And I love Seth Rogen. I think he's such a great creator. And I don't know. I've heard really good things about the show, so I'm interested to kind of check it out and see what that's all about. So, but all of that kind of inspires my art. And when it comes to trying to be productive this week, especially in regards to like my photography and things like that, I finally started editing my inside out photos from the cosplay photo shoot that I did. Was able to finally get those photos edited and get them out to the cosplayers. they've been sitting on them for like 2 months. And honestly, it was just because I was struggling to try to get any kind of, I don't know, momentum or motivation, I guess, to actually go in and edit the photos. And it's hard. I don't know if anybody out there is a photographer as well, but there's just sometimes I look at my photos and I think to myself, like, man, these are shit. Like they're garbage. Like why am I even trying here? And I sat there for like 2 months staring at these photos, just knowing it wasn't my best work, and I really struggled to get the motivation to go ahead and edit them. And when I finally showed them to my wife, who was the main cosplayer for it, she was cosplaying Sadness for the photo shoot. Like she loved them. She was very happy and thankful for the work I put into them. And I guess it was a lot of worrying about nothing, but it just, as an artist, sometimes like it's hard. It's hard to create. It's hard to get that motivation and that that drive and passion, especially if you're really struggling, with mental health, and you're looking at your art and what you're creating, and you just realize that it's not exactly what you had hoped it was going to be. Sometimes it's just hard to be able to get it together, and that was me this last week. But I finally did. Got them edited. Got them sent out. If you follow me on social media, you'll see me definitely post them. They're a lot better than what I thought they were over the last couple months. But that finally gave me the kick in the ass that I needed. Did a couple more photo shoots this week. Did my first gender reveal photo shoot, which was kind of cool. And even today, just got through doing a pinup photo shoot and boudoir photo shoot with a amazing model that I get to work with pretty often, and I'm pretty thankful for. So finally getting back in the swing of things. But honestly, what I made the most progress on was my movie script. I am daring to make a fan-made film, Batgirl film, and I finally made some progress on trying to get some of the script done. But what was cool was I was able to actually get out there and get our costume design together for our Batgirl. So we finally have a Batgirl with an actual bat suit. We are making progress slowly but surely on the script, and hopefully looking to start shooting late summer, early fall. I think we're heading in the right direction for it. And then lastly, work this last week was pretty good. I'm getting into the flow of my new job a little bit better. I think leaving Rally House and going to Insomnia Cookies, it was a big leap just because it's a much different career field. And with Insomnia Cookies, like, it's the first time I've ever had been a district manager for a place that was open so late. I mean, even on weekends we're open till 3 a.m. And it made for a couple of late nights this last week. Had some issues with some of the walk-in freezers in our locations that kind of kept me away from home a little bit more than I wanted to be. But the free time that I did have, again, really kind of led to me being able to make some progress artistically. So, pretty excited about that. So I don't know about you guys, how your week was, how things were going in your life, but I'd love to be able to hear about them. I'd love to be able to see kind of progress you're making. And honestly, at the end of the day, like, it's progress over complacency. So whether it's your art or your professional career or just life in general, the fact that you got up, woke up, did your shit, got it together, finished out the day, like a win's a win. So just, make sure to celebrate that. So those are kind of just in general, my updates, my life updates, art updates, work updates. So let's just kind of go into the thick of the show notes today. If you know me, or if you've seen any of my content, I have a wide range of interests. And this podcast is super fucking random. And so will the topics be. So the first topic I have, I could not get away from it on TikTok, was the fucking LeBron James, Stephen A. Smith feud on TikTok. And whether you're a sports fan or not, like, this shit is stupid. Basically, in a nutshell, if you don't know what we're talking about, LeBron was very upset with some comments that Stephen A. Smith made about him as a father. And we're going to dive into that just a little bit. But LeBron took it personal, which I mean, I don't blame him. Confronted, called out Stephen A. Smith, and that led to a back and forth feud between them two, where they weren't fucking talking to each other. Like, God forbid we be fucking men and we actually have a conversation with each other. They just went on multiple podcasts, including their own, to bitch and complain about each other, and it was very, like, first of all, it was super petty. But it was also very, like, WWE-esque, right? Like, it was very, like, pro wrestling. Let's make up this drama for ratings. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't think the NBA wants any kind of publicity like this. But I'll tell you that, like, the feud itself was fucking stupid. And, you know, in regards to, like, LeBron and being a father, as a dad, 100%. Like, if I feel like you're coming after me as a dad or my kid, I'm going to take offense too. But my son's 4 years old, right? Like there has to be a time you let your son defend himself. And I'm sorry, but Bronny probably shouldn't have been drafted. I'm not saying that he's not worthy to be in the NBA, but probably shouldn't have been drafted where he was. And on top of that, when it comes to, you know, like what his place is, or what it looks like in the NBA, at the end of the day, like, he has to be his own man and figure that shit out on his own. And so for LeBron to jump in and, like, completely, he does what LeBron does. He puts the spotlight back on himself. And between the way he handled that situation, between the way that he, you know, kind of just responded on social media and on, you know, like the Pat McAfee podcast, I mean, it was, quite frankly, it was childish. And I didn't have much respect for LeBron in the first place. I do think he's one of the greatest basketball players to ever live. I don't think he's the best. Sorry, come at me. Michael Jordan's the best basketball player ever. I do have LeBron in my top three. I have Michael, Kobe, then LeBron. But with that all being said, like he is obviously one of the most gifted athletes to ever play basketball. But if you look at the course of his career, he's done some really stupid things. And it's all been because he can't stand to not have the spotlight on him. And so, as you know, the feud is playing out on podcasts and on social media and everything between LeBron and Stephen A. Smith. You know, honestly, it's laughable. Like, it's pathetic. And look, I am no one. Like, LeBron, it will never know my name. Like, I am just a fucking dude with a podcast. Trying to do the best I can as a dad, as a man, as a husband. But you know, when it comes to, like, you put your own shit out there. When you started feuding with each other, and Charles Barkley said it best. Like, he was asked on a podcast. I don't remember the guy's name of the podcast, but he was basically asked, just, you know, as a joking question, like, who had the better week, LeBron or Stephen A. Smith? And he said neither. Like, both of them just fucking petty as hell. Like, and I think it just, I don't know. I don't know how you can look at it from a LeBron James fan point of view and not think it was a little pathetic. And I think it just does nothing. Like, I think he wanted the attention on himself. And I think it just takes away from how great he is. And honestly, like, the biggest argument I hear in the LeBron Michael debate is, look at what LeBron is doing right now this year at his age. And I saw some statistics that showed, it was a blind statistic of LeBron's stats this year versus Derrick Rose's stats his MVP season. And LeBron's stats right now are better. And I think that speaks a little bit to the development of the league, right? And like, in you know, just the fact that it progresses and it really affords for offensive players to have more success. But you still can't argue what he's doing. And I get that. Like, as a LeBron hater, I give him the credit for the season he's having, but all this shit just takes away from it. And honestly, it just needs to stop. Especially because I'm a homer from Oklahoma City. I think the Thunder are going to win the NBA title. And I can already see the fucking headlines. NBA finals going on. Thunder is one game away from winning the finals. We're still talking about fucking Bronny. Like, it's got to stop. So, I don't know. LeBron, don't soil your greatness by getting into fucking petty arguments with Stephen A. Smith. Like, it's silly. So, but like I said, I couldn't get away from it. It was all over my TikTok feed, all over social media. And honestly, just, I think at the end of the day, it was just silly shit that this, about two grown-ass men who just need to talk to each other, and, you know, get over it. And so, I don't know what your guys' thoughts are. I'd love to be able to hear them in the comments. Let me know what you think about the LeBron Stephen A. Little, I don't know, petty, stupid, fucking ass fight. Whatever you want to label it. Love to hear your thoughts. So, moving on though, moving to the next topic. I found this interesting. Ben Affleck was interviewed here recently, and he some of his comments that he kind of talked about in regards to his role as Batman really kind of piqued my interest, and I'm gonna pull up the article here so I can read to you guys. This was provided by Variety. And again, Ben Affleck was asked about his experience working in the Zack Snyder's DC universe and playing Batman. And he says here that playing Batman was, quote, awful and the worst experience. Now, on the surface, I know you're going to read that and you're going to hear that and you're going to think, okay, like, it's kind of clickbaitish. But he goes on to have some more comments that I thought, like, honestly, were super healthy when it comes from, like, a mental health standpoint. He talks about the fact that a lot of the experience had a lot of misalignment of agendas, understandings, and expectations. And also, by the way, I wasn't bringing anything particularly wonderful to the equation at the time either. I had my own failings, significant failings, in that process and at that time. And, you know, he goes on to talk about having a little bit of self-accountability for the way that DC universe shaped out and the part that he played in it. And now, if you follow Ben Affleck, I mean, even just, you know, on the surface level, he had a lot of problems going on. Like, he was going through his divorce, a lot of alcohol problems and things like that. But, shit, like, how often do we fucking go through our day job, right? And that's what he is. He's an actor. Even though, yeah, he's a celebrity, he's an actor who was paid to play a role in a movie. And you know, his day job is not much different than ours. And him going on and saying, hey, look, like, I was struggling. Like, it was difficult. And I didn't give, you know, my best performance. Like, I wasn't there mentally. I wasn't there in a healthy space. Like, that is so awesome to hear, honestly, from a man who had been struggling to try to get his shit together. And, you know, the difference between you and I versus him is when we're struggling, we get to go home and no one fucking cares, right? But when you know, a celebrity struggling like that in that capacity, it's all over the news. It's all over social media. And I think that, you know, honestly, it's great to hear that kind of growth in someone's mental health. Like shit's hard. Life is hard. And I think at the end of the day, for him to come out and say, hey, the universe was garbage. There were so many different agendas. You had the studio wanting to go one way. You had Zack Snyder wanting to go another way. And regardless of how you feel, I mean, I personally liked the Snyderverse. I liked the direction they were going. But the one thing that most of the DCEU, you know, most of what it missed was joy. Like, it was a dark universe. And I think that's what some of us enjoyed about it. But you take that dark take and then you compile it onto what he was going through as an actor. Like, I don't know. I feel for the guy. And then the off chance Ben Affleck ever hears this fucking podcast, man, thank you. Thank you for owning your shit. Like, that's what I'm trying to do with this podcast. That's what I think we're all trying to do when it comes to our mental health state. And the fact that you come out and said, hey, like, it was crappy. It was a horrible experience, but I didn't contribute anything to it either. Like, bravo, man. Good for you. And so I don't follow Ben Affleck on that kind of level. So I'm assuming he is doing much better, especially with those kind of comments, than what he might have been doing before. But, you know, it was nice to hear some real talk coming from someone who is going across that mental health journey. So, good on you, Ben Affleck. Really, honestly. And so we're moving from the dead, expired DCEU to the picking ourselves up, trying to get our shit together Marvel Cinematic Universe. Look, I am a huge Marvel fan. But even as much of a fan as I am, I think that it's clear that they have had some recent struggles post-Endgame. And not that it's all been bad. I think there's been a lot of success. I think there's been a lot of great content that they've put out there. But I obviously, I think we would all be, you know, honest with ourselves and say, yeah, there's been some times where the Marvel Cinematic Universe hasn't been on its A game. But with that being said, I mean, we are on the heels of getting ready to have another Avengers movie finally. Avengers Doomsday. Obviously, Robert Downey Jr. coming back, playing Dr. Von Doom. You know, I think it's going to be a really... I think they're going to... you know, obviously, I don't think the Russo brothers would have came back if they didn't have a good idea in mind for this movie and the direction they wanted to go. So with that being said, the casting announcement that hit this week. The announcement... I've seen a lot of mixed emotions on this announcement. Either certain individuals believing that it was extremely stupid, boring, and you know, honestly just lackluster, to other people really enjoying the way that they decided to take their time and make it this, you know, day-long event. At the end of the day, I don't really fucking care how they give us the information. The fact is they gave us some really good information here with the casting. And I want to go on the assumption for a second that this is the set cast, that they're not going to come out with any more, and that, you know, outside of cameos, this is the core cast we're going with. I'm going to go through the rundown real quick, just so that, again, everyone knows this, but still, let's go through the rundown. In Avengers Doomsday, the official casting shows Thor, Captain America, Susan Storm, Ant-Man, Yelena, also Namor, Shang-Chi, Bucky Barnes, Black Panther, The Thing, Kelsey Grammer's Beast. You're also going to have Sentry in there. You're going to have the new Falcon. You're going to have Johnny Storm, Red Guardian, and M'Baku. You're going to have Ghost. You're going to have Loki. When you get into your X-Men cast, you're going to have Charles Xavier. You're going to have Magneto. You're going to have Nightcrawler, Mystique, Cyclops. And then you're also going to have Channing Tatum returning as Gambit. Then, the last two announcements after Channing Tatum was Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic, obviously, and Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom. Assuming that is our cast, I want to take a second to let's talk about what kind of movie they're trying to bring us here, okay? I think we could speculate all day, and honestly, we're about a year away. I think we're all going to speculate all the way up until the time we see the movie. But when we're talking about the cast and who was announced, I do think that tells us a lot about what kind of movie we're actually going to get. Now, I found it interesting when you're talking about certain cast members from that OG X-Men universe, which with, you know, everything that was announced, I mean, I think we can be safe to say that those characters are returning and reprising the roles that they were in. I found it interesting who did not get announced. You're not going to, at least right now, announcement-wise, you didn't have Jean Grey. You didn't have Storm coming in. Obviously Wolverine, I don't know if we would have saw Wolverine coming off Deadpool. It felt pretty definitive that this was kind of his last hurrah, but who knows, in Secret Wars, maybe Hugh Jackman comes back one last time, until he's 90, to play that role. But we didn't, it was interesting that we didn't get some more of the core cast members. Then when you look at the 616 universe, our current Marvel universe, there was some missing names out there too, like Captain Marvel, Peter Quill. It felt like the majority of the cast that was announced are more grounded in the MCU. When I say grounded, they're more earthbound, like the Thunderbolts, and then you do have a little bit, obviously I think that Loki in his new role as the God of Stories is going to play a significant role in the way that Secret Wars plays out. And then of course Thor is probably going to play a significant role in that, and that's kind of your cosmic presence, I guess, if you will, in this casting. But when I looked at who was actually casted for this role, how would the storyline play out in Doomsday? And I have nothing to base this off of other than just a guess. But when we have a season of television and there's 9 episodes, you always have that one episode that is a filler episode. That one episode that it plays a role in their overall story, but ultimately it was just this might be a cool idea for a one-off. Let's go ahead and do it, and that can be the catalyst that gets us to the end of our story. That's what I feel like Doomsday is turning into. I feel like we had a great idea. Make Robert Downey Jr. Doomsday. We have the payoff of how it's going to look when we get to Secret Wars. But what are we going to do in the meantime? And the casting announcements were so random on what characters they decided to choose. And the most random of all was Channing Tatum as Gambit. Fantastic in the Deadpool movie. I loved watching his Gambit in the Deadpool movie. It was a surprise. I loved the Cajun accent he brought to it. Loved the attitude, the poise, and how he played the character. But it honestly just feels like we're throwing spaghetti at the fucking refrigerator and seeing what sticks. Why him? Why this character? And then when you're talking about the original X-Men, why the choices to leave out people like Jean Grey and Storm? And ultimately what I feel like this movie is going to be is 2.5 hours of filler and setup that I'm sure will pay off in Secret Wars. It's not say what you want to about Marvel. The big events, they know how to give us that payoff for. But I don't know, it just seems like we needed to have a reason to bring back Robert Downey Jr. And I didn't feel that way whenever it was first announced. I thought to myself, great, you got some kind of story. It's not the Doctor Doom I wanted, but you obviously have some kind of story that you want to tell. And I don't know, now just seeing who was casted, not that I'm not excited about it. I am. I'm super excited for Avengers Doomsday. But I think this tells us that we are going to get kind of our first filler Avengers movie. And I will tell you, Captain America Brave New World was nothing but a filler movie. Now, I didn't hate that movie. I don't think it was, the greatest, but I think at the end of the day, the Captain America Brave New World was a movie that didn't need to be made. And I guess in that aspect, no movie needs to be made, right? But I think when it comes to Avengers Doomsday, I think we're going to get a filler of a movie. And that's disappointing to me. Because there are certain things that I've heard and thought that would be, excellent kind of little plot lines or storylines throughout, having Robert Downey Jr. back as Doctor Doom. First time that Peter sees Doctor Doom, and it's Tony Stark. I think those reveals are going to be... They're going to leave us wanting, because we're going to have them wasted with characters that, I don't know, at least on the surface level, don't look like they're going to play much of importance. The one thing I am excited about, though, is seeing what Marvel is going to do with Cyclops. I always kind of felt like the Fox universe really kind of did him dirty. And so I am excited to be able to have him back. And of course, Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen, like they're legends. When I say that this movie is going to be a filler movie, I'm not saying that I'm not going to like it. I think I will. I think it'll be fun. I just don't know if it's going to be what we all are expecting it to be. And I think right now, because we are all wanting Marvel to succeed, and we're all wanting them to get their shit together and get back to being that peak Marvel, honestly, I think that at the end of the day, our expectations are going to be so fucking high going into this movie. I don't know if there's anything that Marvel could do to meet those expectations. And that's not on them, that's on us. We should leave our expectations at the door and go enjoy the movie. But all the hype and all the build-up, the casting announcement just wasn't... It didn't hit. Now, maybe it did for you. Maybe you loved it. Maybe you're super excited. And I'm all there for you. I love that for you. But I don't know. Seeing the casting announcement, there were obviously some big name pops. And I can't wait to see how those pay off. But yeah, I just it wasn't... To me, the more I thought about it, the announcement of the characters and who were going to be in the movie was just as exciting as the very boring way that they decided to go ahead and show us that casting announcement. Who does that? Like, one casting chair every 12 minutes. I don't know. But you know what? And Kevin Feige, I trust. I think that he's going to hopefully provide a excellent Avengers movie. We haven't had a bad one yet, so I don't know. We're gonna see. So, what are your guys' thoughts? What do you guys think about the casting announcement? How do you feel about the list of characters that we're going to get? Was there anybody that you were disappointed with that wasn't on your list? I'd love to be able to hear your thoughts. And tell me what you guys think about the casting announcement. So, our last topic of the day, and I appreciate you guys if you stuck with me. This is actually my longest podcast episode, 35 minutes. Part of it's because I'm trying to record the podcast, read my material. The other part of it is I'm stuck in watching the TikTok live, because again, this is my first time to ever go live on TikTok. And so, trying to navigate both. It's been kind of interesting. So the podcast usually runs a little bit smoother than this, so I appreciate you guys hanging in there. But my last topic, we kind of hit it, talked about it at the beginning of the show. Monopoly is my number one favorite board game of all time, and I had a chance to play Avengers Monopoly, and I wish that I had the game. The game's on the other side of the room, so maybe I'll post a picture of it on my social media. So if you're listening to this podcast, or if you're joining me live on TikTok, please just follow me on all platforms. I'd love to be able to follow you back and build the community. So, but I thought it would be fun to see what Google had to say is the top 10 board games of all time. And this comes from fun.com, which is obviously, you're fun.com. You are the end-all, be-all of board games and board game rankings. So I thought we'd pull this up, take a look at it and kind of break down this top 10 list, overanalyze the top 10 board games of all time. At number 10, I have a board game that I cannot fucking pronounce. Rummikub? Rummikub. I've never even heard of this game. There were more than 50,000, or excuse me, more than 50 million units sold worldwide. It was introduced in 1949, and the artwork looks like it has, I don't know, a princess on it. Does anybody know what this fucking game is? I have no idea. Maybe we'll buy it, see if we can find it and play it. So I can't comment on number 10 because I don't know what it is. Number 11 was Life. I have played Life before. And going on down, like I'll just start again going from number 10, whatever this game is, however you pronounce it. Number 9 was Candyland. I played Candyland when I was a kid. My mom, she hated board games, but it was one that she was able to like put a little bit of effort in and entertain me as a child. So Candyland, that's solid. I get that at number 9. Number 8, Backgammon. I don't know if I've ever played backgammon in my entire life. Has anyone ever played backgammon? What do you think about backgammon? To me, it was always that board game that came like on the opposite side of your chessboard or your checkerboard that I never knew how to play. So, but it was established in 1981. Apparently, it can play up to 6 players, which is interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I've never played backgammon. That came in at number 8 with over 88 million sold worldwide. Number 7. Here we go. Now we're getting into some games that I've played. Trivial Pursuit. Over 100 million copies sold worldwide. It was actually introduced in 1931. I saw a meme on Trivial Pursuit that was from like 2008, and it had a list of actors, and it said which one of these actors has not played Batman before, and it was literally all the actors that have played Batman to this point now. So that question did not age very well in Trivial Pursuit, but I love trivia games. I suck at them. I'll tell you what, for some fucking reason, my mother-in-law knows all the weird shit that you need to know to be able to dominate Trivial Pursuit. Bunch of worthless information floating around in her head, but geez, like if we ever played that as a family, like she is the number 1 draft pick. On the opposite side of it, her daughters, one of them, my wife, love y'all, but that is not the game for you. So Trivial Pursuit, 100 million copies sold worldwide. So far, this list is garbage because, now this is my own personal experience, but I've never played backgammon, never played the Rummikub game or whatever that is. So it's a little weak, but we're starting to get into here in the top 6, starting to get into some really good board games here. You have Battleship at number 6, established in 1949 with over 100 million copies sold worldwide. I played Battleship as a kid. That's a solid game. Crappy movie, but it's a solid game. Clue came in at number 5 at 150 million copies sold worldwide. A lot of these board games are old. Like they were like made in the 30s. This one, Clue, 1938 was when it was introduced. Does that mean like no new board games have come out that have been of any kind of significance at all? Number 4, Scrabble. I'm a terrible speller. So Scrabble is not the one for me. It's that Christian school education I grew up with. Number 3, and this is where the list derails. It's bullshit. Number 3, not because Monopoly is my all-time favorite game, but number 3 was Monopoly at 275 million copies sold worldwide. But number 2 was checkers, and number 1 was chess. And I don't classify those as board games. Like, I know that technically they are board games, but to me, like, that should not be on the list. Like, it's like when you're talking about your favorite, like, superhero movies of all time. I don't think you should talk about the Avengers movies. Like, those are, like, on a whole different level, right? Like, for me, my most my favorite MCU movie of all time is Guardians of the Galaxy. Do I love Infinity War? Do I love Endgame, Age of Ultron, the original Avengers? Obviously. Like, do I think those movies are better than Guardians? Of course. But I don't think it should be counted, right? Like, so I don't think checkers and chess should be counted as your number 2 and number 1 board games of all time. That's weak sauce. So, looking at the list though, however, if you took them out, Monopoly would be number 1, and that's not my bias, I promise. But then to round out your top 10 would be the new number 9 would be Life, and then number 10 would be Othello. So I have no idea what that fucking game is. So this top 10 list, like, I don't know. I don't know any of these games. Pictionary, I found this interesting though. Pictionary was on the list at number 13. Introduced in 1883. The most recent game on this list that was introduced in most recent years was Risk. Risk came in at number 15. First introduced in 1995. So that is the most recent board game of any significance on this top list. So there you go. There's your top 10 board games of all time, inspired by Monopoly Night for birthday night. So what is your favorite board game? What do you guys love to play? And do you think that checkers and chess should be on the list? I personally don't think that they should. I think that's a cop-out. Definitely should be on the list. So there it is, guys. There's your episode. Bunch of random shit. Talked about a lot of good topics, though. And honestly, at the end of the day, like, our lives are so fucking random. The topics on this podcast are going to range from a wide variety of interests and things that I love, that hopefully that you guys love, and things like that. But yeah, at the end of the day, we're all just trying to make it. We're all trying to be the best versions of ourselves that we can be. And if this podcast distracted you in any way from all the shit you got going on in your life, then it was a win. It definitely did for me. Very thankful that you guys let me ramble on for so long. So there it is, guys. Appreciate your time. Thank you for listening. Thank you for getting through this. I will catch you guys again on the same Batman Drew channel at the same Batman Drew time. I appreciate you guys.